Hi everyone, welcome to Paint with Mark. I'm Mark. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button below. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, hit the bell icon next to the subscribe button, and you'll get a notification anytime I put up a video. If you have any questions, comments, or need to say anything about this video, please leave a comment below. Hey everyone, thanks for coming in and watching. This is Paint with Mark. If you haven't seen any of the other videos that I put up, they'll be linked right up here. Hit that little card that comes up here, and you can take a look at what I've already done in this series. Basically what the series is going to be is learning to paint. Learning to paint from an amateur. I'm an amateur. I've painted quite a bit, but I'm not a professional in any way stretch of the imagination, not even close. So what I'm going to do through this series is basically set up different types of paintings and have you follow along and have you learn along with me. Like I said, if you saw my last video, basically it was giving you the information on what you actually need to purchase in order to paint. I'll say throughout this whole series there are no hard rules. As with anything in art, it's all subjective. You do what you like. You create what you want. So just these are basically guides. Use it as a guide. Plain and simple. Alright, but what we're going to do in this video here is give you basically a demonstration or a guide of how I set up my workspace when I decide that I'm going to do a painting. You can set it up however you want, however you're comfortable doing. Again, like I said, there's no set rules, so you do not have to do it, but this is what I do when I decide that I'm going to do a painting. Alright, so what I basically have here, I have set up in my office basic workspace. When you're deciding an area that you want to paint on, or where you want to paint, there's some things that you want to keep in mind. You want to be in an environment that is comfortable to you. Myself, I like it being quiet. In my office, it's very quiet. I'm in downstairs, away from all noises, distractions, TVs, anything like that. I have a nice area set up here, so it's comfortable, plain and simple. So the other thing that you want to keep into consideration when picking an area to paint from is painting is messy. It's very messy. You want to have a surface or an area that you can keep clean. What I'm using here is a basic plastic folding table as my workspace. I have laminate flooring underneath, so when I spill paint, I don't say if, I say when, because you will spill paint. Very simple, you will spill paint. It's easy to clean up. And if you can notice on the table, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, I got paint splatters all over this table, so this is an area that I don't mind if I get paint on. What I recommend though is if you're going into an area that has carpeting, make sure you put a drop cloth underneath you and buy some cheap plastic from Home Depot or your local hardware store. Put that over it, and if you're painting on a surface that you can't get stained, make sure you put plastic over the top of that, or you can even spread newspaper out. That'll help you prevent from getting the paint on the table if you're painting on your kitchen table or so on. Like I said, my floor is laminate, so if I do spill paint on it, wipe it up, with a wet cloth. Usually comes right up. One thing you want to make sure though is if you're on a ceramic floor, if acrylic paint, even though it is washable, if it does hit that grout, it will stain it. So if you're on a ceramic floor, make sure you put a drop cloth underneath you also. Because like I said, it's not a matter of if you spill the paint, it's when, because you're going to. You're definitely going to. Other thing to consider when you're setting up your work area is your clothing. You're going to get paint on yourself. Very simple. You are definitely going to get paint on yourself. So make sure that you wear clothing that can get dirty. Like I said earlier, acrylic paint is washable, not out of clothing. It will stain your clothing and it will be there forever. So make sure you wear something that you can get dirty. Okay, so we got that all set up. Now let's set up the work area. All right, so now that we have the work area all set up, if you put the plastic on the table and on the floor, the drop cloth, tablecloth to protect your property, you don't want to get stains all over it. Let's put our supplies up on the table. And we'll reach down here. First supply we're going to do is a canvas. And we got our paints. We got our brushes. We've got our rinsing cup. Roll of paper towels. And we've got an easel. You don't really need an easel. I really like to work with one. So here's how I set up my workspace when I decide that I'm going to paint. First of all, we'll set up the easel. It's quite easy. This type of easel here, like I said in my last video, is about $20. You can buy it at any craft or hobby shop. And we'll put our canvas right on it. The next thing that I'll do is I'll take my rinsing cup, move that back just a little bit there. Take the rinsing cup, that will go in back. And I'll leave my paints right about here. Give me a little bit of room. My brushes will go here. Then get the palette, and the palette will either be, I'll keep it either in front of the canvas or over by the sides of the paints. That way that I can, just reach, put the paint on here, grab the brush that I need. Reason being that I put my rinsing cup in back and my paper towels way off to the side there is if you put them out in front, you're going to knock them over and it's going to create a mess. I've done it many a time, so you just learn from me. Put them out of way. I mean, however you want to do. If you want to put the water cup over here so it's, out of the way, the water cup gets knocked over. If the acrylic paints get knocked over, it's not really a big deal because they're kind of thick. They're not going to spill real quick. Same thing with the brushes. It's a pain in the butt, but it's not going to create a mess. You spill the rinsing cup, that's going everywhere. It's going to make a mess. Especially if you're not using an easel and you have your canvas on the table. Yeah, that's going to ruin your canvas. So, I mean, this is the basic way that I set up to work. It's, like I said, it's comfortable, it's convenient. It's the way that I've always done it. Like I said, it's not mandatory. You don't have to. You set it up how you want. Okay. There may be other things that you want to keep. Some people paint with keep some sponges, different types of cloths to create different type of texture. Whatever you use, you don't want your work area cluttered. You want plenty of room to work. So this is why I set up like this. It's just plenty of room. And like I said, I'm using my office. I have a TV right up above. So this is comfortable for me. You want to be in an area that is comfortable. Okay, you don't want to have the phone ringing, you don't want to have video games beeping, dogs barking, people walking back and forth around you. They're just distractions that will distract you from what you're doing, and it can get frustrating that way. So that's why I do this here. So, all right, when you're done with your painting and you've painted exactly what you want, what I do, this is generally the steps that I do. Again, follow however you feel comfortable, but this is what's worked for me. Any of your dirty brushes, along with the dirty water from rinsing your brushes, take it to a sink, a toilet, and pour the water down. Get rid of that right away. Throw the cup out because there will be paint residue on the inside of the cup. So make sure you don't spill that on the floor. Make sure that you wash your brushes thoroughly. You can use soap and slightly warm water to clean all of the paint out of the bristles. Make sure that you don't use too warm of water, because with inexpensive brushes, it's cheap glue that's holding these bristles in, and what will happen, the glue will release and you'll lose all of your bristles. So just watch the temperature of the water. It doesn't have to be freezing cold, but you don't want boiling hot water, and you don't want to soak them in very hot water. Again, be very careful where you empty your rinsed water, your cleaning water, or whatever you want to call it. Be very careful where you're washing your brushes. If the sink or toilet or tub or whatever you're cleaning them in has a porous surface, it will stain. The pigment in the acrylic paint will stain the surface, and you will not get it out. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're cleaning up after yourself. So once I clean all the brushes off, I grab either paper towel or a dry cloth, and I make sure the bristles are nice and dry. Make sure that you get all of the paint and any soap. If you use soap to get the paint out, you get everything out. Make sure the bristles are dry, because if you don't get everything out, the acrylic paint and whatever in here will dry, and this will become hard as a rock, and you'll end up throwing your brush away. So just a way to save money. 2 seconds of prevention, it saves you so much money. So make sure they're clean. So now that we have the water spills, we have the water cleaned, all of our brushes are cleaned and put away. If you're using a paper plate, wax paper, aluminum foil, whatever it is, just crumple it up, throw it in the trash. If you're using a reusable surface, make sure that you clean this very well. Again, the paint will stain porous surfaces, so be careful where you're rinsing the paint out. What I'll do is I'll use a little bit of warm, soapy water, scrub it off with the scrubby side of a sponge, rinse it off, and you're good as new. So we'll put this away. What I'll do after that is I put all of the paints away in this storage bin. This is a 6-quart storage bin. I think in my blog I wrote 3-quart. It's actually 6-quart. The reason why I use these is they store nice and neat in there. Take the cover, put the cover on, and you could store those away. Okay, so now we have the paints, everything's gone. You want to take your finished painting and you want to put it someplace that has well ventilated and is kind of cool. You don't want it really warm and humid, like a furnace room or something like that. You don't want to do that. You want it where the air is flowing and the temperature is room temperature or below. You don't want it freezing cold either, because you'll have problems with the paint on there. And what I do is, once the painting is dry, I will spray liquid polyurethane, liquid lacquer, or some type of finishing agent on top of it. And what that does is that seals the paint so that dust, dirt won't damage the paint. And if for some reason water gets spilled on it, even though the painting is dry, if water gets on it, the paint will run and it'll ruin the picture. So I always put a sealant on it once that I'm completely done. Now, if you put the sealant on it, you cannot go back and touch it up. You can't do it. It won't work. So we've got that. Make sure that your easel is cleaned. fold it up, and store it away. So we have all of our supplies cleaned up and put away. Next thing you do is you just take the tablecloth or the drop cloth that you've plastic, whatever it is that you put on the table, newspaper, ball it up, ball up the drop cloth that you put on the floor, throw it in the trash, and you're done. So it's fairly simple, fairly basic, just common sense sort of. But like I said, this is the way that I set up my workspace and break down my workspace when I'm done. You may have a different way how to do it. If you do, leave me a comment below. Let me know. And that's going to be it for this video. It's kind of a quick one. Really simple, basic stuff. So that's setting up the workspace. So thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. If you're new to this vlog, please hit that thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button. You'll get opportunity to see all the videos that I'm doing in this series. If you're already a subscriber to this vlog or to this channel, please hit that bell icon right next to the subscribe button. You get notification anytime I put up a video. So thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. And I think the next time we're actually going to put some paint on the canvas.